So this video today is going to be about a funny topic. It wasn't too funny when it happened, but now after all these years, I think about it and I have realized it is actually funny. So, spare the rod, spoil the child. Stick with me and I'll be back in a couple seconds. All right, and welcome back to Wells Family Journey. So, spare the rod, spoil the child. What do I mean by that? Well, that's an old saying from a while ago. I'm pretty sure you still hear it here and there and nowadays, right? So, the story. Going back to when I was a kid, okay? I grew up in a single-parent household for the majority of my life. I think my mom was single all the way up till my freshman year of high school. So she got married that summer. And what was it that summer? Yeah, it was that summer, June. And so she raised me by herself. Now, during that time, she also had a roommate that was a sister of the church that we belonged in. I grew up in and whatnot. So, being a kid, you know, you do bad things as a kid. You know, you don't listen to your parents sometimes, or if your parent tells you do this, don't do that, and you do the complete opposite, right? Well, for some reason, I was always in this, how should I say it, phase of getting in trouble. Not that I was trying to get in trouble. It was just happening that way, you know. So I remember my mom telling me if I got in trouble one more time, she was going to wash my mouth out with soap. Okay. Now, I wasn't that kid where, you know, I'll go around cussing or, you know, saying bad words. But apparently, I was being disrespectful to adults. Now, I truthfully don't remember this happening beforehand of me being disrespectful to adults. I was always raised to respect my elders, no matter who they were, where they came from. If they're older than me by, you know what, 10, 12 something years plus, respect them. They know more. They're well versed. They're knowledgeable. So do as I was told. Okay. Well, so I was going to a 4th of July party, and this happened to involve my cousin Jeremy. He was wheelchair bound and he couldn't walk. Well, like my mama said, if I was disrespectful to an adult, again, she was going to wash my mouth out with soap. Now, I listened to what my mom said because she always made do on those promises. Kind of like me, I guess. When I tell my kids, you're going to get it when we get home when they were younger, oh, they got it when they got home. And if they continue to be bad, they got it in the car before we even got home. But I don't beat my kids. But, you know, getting back to the story. So, I was over at my cousin's house in O'Fallon, and it was part of the church. You know, everyone from church was gathered. It was a big 4th of July party, and, you know, parents were upstairs. Excuse me, adults were upstairs, and, you know, kids were downstairs. But more, the teens were downstairs, the kids were outside, and the adults were all upstairs, right? So, you know how it is with a black family barbecue. You know, there's music, there's happiness, there's dancing, there's tons of food. So that's exactly what was going on that day. So me and my cousin, us being, young teens and whatnot. We were downstairs where we usually was, playing video games in his room. Well, so that day, I went upstairs. There was so much food there as well. Like ribs there. There was like KFC. I believe it was KFC. KFC, pizza, hot dogs. It was a 4th of July family church black gathering. So you put all that together. You know what I'm talking, or you should. So I got my cousin a plate of food. Took it downstairs. Went upstairs. Got myself a plate of food and went back downstairs. So, like I said, growing up, since I want to say about third, fourth grade, my mom had a sister of the church that lived with us, her and her kids as well, right? So she lived with us. And that sister, God rest her soul, was there that day. So I went downstairs after I grabbed my food and me and my cousin, we started playing video games, doing what preteens, teenagers do, just chit-chatting, just being regular kids, right? Teenage kids. Well, my cousin, Jeremy, started choking. I think it was a chicken bone that he started choking on. I don't know. He was always funny. Jeremy was always full of laughter, full of love. And so I guess we started telling a joke or something like that, and he started choking. Now, my other cousin, Jeff, I think he was like outside with his girlfriend at the time or something like that, so he wasn't downstairs either. So it was just me and Jeremy in the room, talking, playing video games, and he started choking. So, my mother being a nurse, I tried doing the Heimlich maneuver on him and whatnot, and patting his back before I did the Heimlich maneuver, started patting his back, said, hey, drink something. He couldn't drink something, he'd take a sip of the soda and, spit it out immediately, so I was down there, just patting his back, just trying everything I could think of at the time to try and get him to cough up what he was choking on. And it just wasn't working. So, last resort, I tried the Heimlich maneuver, but mind you, Jeremy was in a wheelchair. He was always in a wheelchair, so it was hard to get that the angle that I need to get to try and do the Heimlich maneuver successfully. So I was trying to do that. I couldn't do it. So I told Jeremy, I said, Jeremy, hang on. I'm going to run upstairs. I'm going to get help. Hang on. So, ran upstairs, got up there, a sea full of church people upstairs, and I was like, hey, help, Jeremy's choking, and, being adults, what do we do as adults? We just, kids, we give the kids the food, we give them something to do, we tell, hey, go be kids, leave us alone, right? That's what we usually do as adults. Come on, you do it, I do it, we all do it. So I'm upstairs just like, hey, Jeremy's choking, I need help, Jeremy's choking, but nobody was listening to me, I think a couple just looked at me, but I guess it was so loud up there, church music was playing, everyone was talking, laughing, having a good time. And, I was like repeating it. And, I was being frantic too as well. I'm like, hey, help, Jeremy's choking. Someone, help, Jeremy's choking. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody was listening. So I was like, what do I do for my last resort? I yelled at the top of my lungs, hey, Jeremy's choking. Need help, Jeremy's choking. So finally, my aunt heard that, ran downstairs, and by the time she got downstairs, I guess Jeremy had finally coughed up what he was choking on. You know what? And between my aunt, me, and Jeremy, we knew what happened. We we knew exactly what happened, and thank God he was okay. He didn't die from choking on that piece of chicken or the meat, whatever was stuck in his throat that day. Thank God. All right, and so me and Jeremy, we were downstairs, we were laughing about it and whatnot, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I went upstairs, I tried getting help. Nobody was listening. I did everything that I could, but nobody was listening. And he was like, well, I'm glad someone finally listened and you got help. I was like, I am too. So that day was over. I think I spent the night like I always do. That was like my second home. You know, it was only about a 10, 15-minute walk from my house to his. So I was constantly over there, you know, being an only child. It was boring at my house. You know, I had my dog, I had my books and my toys, but, you know, staying at my house, I was always at my best friend John's house, or I was at Jeremy's house, Jeff and Jeremy's house and Jeanette's. So, you know, I want to say I spent the night, and the next day I get home. So getting back to the story. So we're downstairs, you know, we're just chit-chatting about the events that happened, and I get home the next day, and there is a note on the kitchen table from my mom, because that's usually where she always left the notes. It was either on the kitchen table, the refrigerator, or by the kitchen sink, because those are always the three main places that I always hit up as a kid in the house. And it said, I heard what you did at that party. Don't go nowhere. Wait for me when I come home. You know, I'm sitting here like, I'm like, oh, okay, great. My mom heard that. You know, I helped save my cousin's life. You know, she's happy. You know what? This and that. You know, and you know, I was like, okay, great, cool. So, you know, my mom was an Air Force officer that worked in the hospital delivery ward for the Air Force. So she had just crazy hours, you know. So I was home waiting all day, you know, waiting for her to come home, talk to me, and, you know, congratulate me for helping save my cousin's life, you know, doing what she taught me as a nurse and whatnot. And I get home, my mom told me to go get. Now, hold on. Before I continue, I just want to make this. I want to make this clear. There's no child abuse in my family whatsoever. Okay. So, like I said, spare the rod, spoil the children. To each their own. My mom raised me. I turned out great. So let's finish the story. All right. So my mom was like, "Boy, what did I tell you about being disrespectful to grown-ups?" You know, I'm sitting there puzzled. I'm like, whoa, what's going on, Mom? I wasn't disrespectful to anybody. She's like, go get that extension cord. What did I tell you about being disrespectful? I'm like, oh, not the extension cord. My mom told me to go get the extension cord. I knew I fucked up. Excuse my language, but I messed something up. The F word got dropped. You know, I didn't say it in front of my mom, but walking off to get that extension cord, I'm just sitting in my head, oh, what is going on? Why am I about to get whooped? I don't get this. You know? So, that day, it comes to find out that the sister that lived with us told my mother that I was being disrespectful to grown-ups at the party, and I was raising my voice and yelling at them. I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, Mom, you know, I tried reasoning with my mother. I was like, Mom, you gotta hear me. Listen, you know, she was so angry. She was like, I just recently told you only a couple days ago not to be disrespectful, not to raise your voice to grown-ups, right? And I'm just like, I tried to plead my case. She wouldn't hear me. I'm just like, oh my God. You know, it wasn't funny then. It's funny now though. Maybe you're on the other end listening to this story. I hope you think it's kind of funny at the end. So that day, my mom whipped my butt that extension cord, grounded me for a month, and if you knew me from my childhood, you knew when I got grounded, I got grounded. It wasn't like these normal groundings that grown-ups do nowadays. Oh, you're grounded 2-3 days. No. For me, it was like weeks to months. And I'm just like, oh, man. So she whipped me with that extension cord. She grounded me. And since I was being disrespectful to grown-ups, I had to go get my toothbrush and brush my mouth out with soap. Now, it just wasn't any soap. It was Dawn dish soap, the blue liquid dish soap that you use to wash your pots and pans. You know, the ones that gets all the grease with what, one drop. You know how that commercial is, right? Oh my God. Then the very not next day, but a few days after that, no, yes, it was the next day. My gums and my mouth just swole up, got puffy, and wouldn't you know it, the day after that was Monday. It was a school day. So I went to school with these puffy lips, puffy mouth, and all my friends were like, man, what happened to you? I was like, man, my mom made me brush my teeth with Dawn soap. So you know how that went with kids. I was the laughing stock with my friends group. And you know, so I couldn't use Dawn for years after that. I couldn't even look Dawn when I went to the grocery store, walked down those aisles. I bypassed Dawn and got a different soap. You know, I got the cheapest soap I could find from that point on. I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. But so I want to say I was allergic to Dawn dish soap in my mouth, not my hands, but my mouth, right? So wow. Got my mouth washed out with soap. Got it whooping with the stench cord, the almighty stench cord, the things to get whipped. You know, people get whipped with like shoes, pots, pans, belts, switches, which is tree limbs, tree branches. I only got whipped with stenching cord, belts, and the ruler back in the day. And I did get paddled once or twice at school, but when I went to school in Chicago, that's a whole nother story. I got hit with the thick wooden rulers that they had back then. And I think I got hit once with the metal ruler, but man, that's a whole nother story too. But yeah, so you know, thinking about it after all these years, you know, I would say when did I tell my mom? Was able to finally tell my mom the story. I was grown. I was moved out the house. I had my own family by then. And I think I just went home to visit my mom one summer. And I said, Mom, do you remember that time when that sister that lived with us told you that I was being loud with adults, disrespectful? And I said, are you ready to hear what really happened? You know, and I told her that story. And she laughed. She was like, oh my God, Damien, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. So it is funny now, but it sure as hell was not funny then. So spare the rod, spoil the children. Not in my mom's house. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Damien. Stay tuned for our next video. And always be kind to each and every one. If you get a chance, find somebody to help today before you go to sleep. It'll make you feel better and also make them feel good too. All right. Thank you.